Want to begin today with really a big news story that's kind of been simmering on the back burner for a while, and we're going to bring it to your attention right now because, again, it affects just about every Rhode Islander. There's a good chance Rhode Island may only have one seat in the U.S. House of Representatives in Washington by the year 2022. Mark Murphy is the editor of the Providence Business News. The cover story in this week's edition of the newspaper deals with that possibility. Now, the number of members of Congress each state gets depends on the population, so the population must be going down.
No, actually it's growing just slightly. It's just that the rest of the country is growing at a faster rate.
Oh.
And so Rhode Island, in terms of relative to other states, has less growth.
So the population is determined by the census, so I guess all of a sudden the census takes on even more importance than it did.
Well, that's right, and there's a big concern about the fact that so many immigrants, both legal and illegal, will be turned off by the census. A lot of them are afraid of being then rounded up for deportation if they're undocumented. Even some of the ones who are documented feel like they're afraid because of their where they came from, that they may not, if they say that they're citizens, then that they might be deported. And that's actually one of the issues that the state and a lot of other states and a couple of municipalities are challenging, and it's going to the Supreme Court, which is there was a question added to the census forms: are you a U.S. citizen? And that's a big deal.
In Rhode Island, Governor Raimondo's asked some people to get together to deal with this.
Yeah, she's allocated about $300,000 for a committee to look at strategies to try to get people to fill out the census forms. In some cases, a lot of people who are here legally aren't really that fluent in English, or at least in written English. They may be fluent to speak it, but they may not necessarily be able to read it as well. And so some of them might have trouble filling it out. And again, by filling it out, they might think that, well, I'm not a citizen, I can't vote, then I shouldn't be counted in the census. And that's really not the case. The Constitution calls for a full count of whoever is living in the state, whether they're a citizen or not.
Now, what this means is either Congressman Cicilline or Congressman Langevin may not have a job in 2022, assuming they both want to run for re-election that time around. But if we only have one Congress person representing the state, what does that mean?
Well, we're not sure how much, but it's likely that the state would lose some federal money it gets for various programs, from Medicaid to housing and a few others. They haven't figured that out yet. I mean, we asked and they couldn't tell us, but it's likely that the state will lose money because a lot of this money is based on the counts from the census. And again, if your count is down relative to other states, then more money will go to other states and less to Rhode Island.
There are a handful of other states where there is only one member of the House of Representatives. Wyoming is one. There's a few others, I think. I was also interested to read in your article that years back there were 3 members of Congress for Rhode Island. Around 1930, I guess that changed.
Right. Well, the Industrial Revolution was going strong, and so that's the reason that it had more. But I think it was in 1930 that it went down to 2, and it has been that way ever since.
And there's a lot more to the story about the implications available for your reading in print or online at the Providence Business News. And Mark Murphy, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Frank.